Hello, I am Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together we are
TwinFinity. We are twin flames in union, sharing our journey through a series of videos. This is now video number 9. I had to look because it's done so many now I can't keep track. This one's called The Rift of Despair. Title says a lot right there, but we'll get into that in a minute. For now, Rob's going to do a quick recap of where we left off on our last video.
Okay, and as per normal, before I do the recap, we usually talk about where we are at.
Oh, yes.
We are in our backyard, and I've got me covering up my neighbor's house just for a little bit of anonymity, and in the background is our mountains. Yep, we love them. They're there. They're a little bit small in the video, but they're a lot larger live and in person. But anyway, we get to share them as little as they are with you.
And we actually wanted to go out to the mountains yesterday and do a video there, but it was just too cold. We tried and it was like, no, not going to happen.
Yeah, I was bundled up with my fur hat and my Russian jacket, and I looked like I was living up in the Arctic.
But we wanted to do this one with mountains because it seems appropriate to talk about rocky times in our relationship with the Rocky Mountains in the background.
A little bit of a play on words. Anyway, the recap. We called that one the roller coaster, and it was 1 week good, 1 week bad, back and forth. I was diving a lot more into 3D because work was taking me there, and I needed to go there on a hour by hour, almost all minutes that I was living basis. And Angie was going exactly the opposite direction. She was getting just started into Reiki. She was seeing angels. She was going deep into 5D, completely opposite directions. And through that, we were starting to wonder whether or not we were even going to make it. There was some doubts starting to creep in, as much as we didn't want to address them because we knew we had a beautiful connection. Still, the start into hard times brings up questions.
And one last little recap was the angel experience. You want to just
go ahead. You do it.
Okay. So we were starting to even argue a bit and struggle, and we were at Rob's work and had agreed not even to speak because we were just so frustrated with each other. And then we had this magical angel experience that pulled us together. I could see the angels, Rob could feel the energy and hear stuff from it, and it was incredible. It's like the angels pulled us back together, like an affirmation of, no, you're meant to be together. So that's kind of where we left off from last time, and that was October 19th of 1997. So where we're going to start at now is October 24th of 1997. This obviously is only a couple days after that angel experience. I'm now about to officially start my Reiki training. So I'm going to read that bit from my journal. I said, I've officially started Reiki. Wow, cool. I was really nervous and panicky about starting. When we were doing intros tonight, I mentioned that to Elizabeth, and she asked if I knew why. Elizabeth was my Reiki teacher. I said, the biggest reason is because I have a feeling that this weekend is going to change my life and set me on a different path. I'll see big changes in myself after this weekend, and that's kind of scary. The person I am will soon be different. Wow. So I was already aware, I was already sensing that Reiki was really going to change me. I wrote, though, I'm feeling a little less fearful, though, now, and I'm accepting the responsibility for this power and gift and right that I've been given through attunement. While being attuned, I got a lot of knowingness. My guides were telling me all about my business, not to worry. Now, just to explain, I was manifesting having my own Reiki business. So I was really doing a lot of work around thinking maybe that's what I'll do for a career. So that's what I'm referring to in terms of a Reiki business. So I was being told by my guides not to worry, that I'm on the right path and I'm doing the right thing, that I will be successful and money won't be a problem. I also heard a lot about Rob, that we share a deep love and will grow stronger in our love for each other. So it's interesting that, again, my guides and angels are affirming that, yes, you're on the right path with Rob. This is the right relationship to be in, and all is well. So I thought, okay, good, I'll believe that. So I wrote, I felt so much love for Rob. It was all quite peaceful and reassuring. So, again, from our roller coaster of last time, now I'm on a bit of an upswing again. I'm feeling, okay, this is where I need to be, and all is going well. Then October 27th, I wrote about the Reiki weekend. And I said, wow, what a weekend. I'm exhausted and I have lots to process. I saw and felt so much, as well as learned and experienced lots. I expected to feel different though, energized and focused and changed. I'm not though. I've been trying so hard to let the sexual abuse go, and I'm trying too hard though. My guides, as well as Elizabeth and others in the class, kept telling me to be patient. It will all come to me when I'm ready. I just need to take some rest and time to process. I'm so anxious though. I want to be a healer now. I want to let go of the past and move on and help others. I guess it will happen when it's ready. So I was trying to really push the river, force things. I wanted to be on the other side. I wanted to be the healer, not the one needing the healing, not the one with all the problems. I had so many issues with the sexual abuse that I was just tired of it all. I was sick of looking at it, facing it, feeling it. And I just thought the Reiki weekend would make it all go away. And I was feeling disappointed that it didn't.
It's kind of funny how that works. You do a bunch of work that might move you forward, but it still doesn't necessarily take you away from the past. It just broadens your horizon without necessarily changing your horizon sometimes. That's a difficult concept to wrap your head around. But
yeah.
What is in existence seldom goes away, and that's for the good and for the bad sometimes.
And I was just tired of dealing with it, not only for me, but for Rob and I, because it was causing us so many struggles. And, here I've got angels and guides telling me that, yes, this relationship is real and it's where you need to be. But I'm thinking, well, my past is causing us so many issues. So if I could just heal my past, we could move on and be happy. So I was just frustrated.
By the way, quick little timeout. We are being chewed out by a squirrel way over there. So at 20 feet, it's up there in the rocks, just below the railings. It's saying, what are you doing in our trees or underneath our trees? We're just underneath a couple of spruce trees here for a little bit of protection from the wind and whatnot. And if you can hear that squeaking in the background, it's just our squirrel.
It's always nice to be out in nature. You never know what kind of experience you're going to have.
It's nice having a backyard to put you out in nature.
Totally. Trees and squirrels and rocks and mountains. Love it. Anyway, moving on. Now we're at about November 5th in my journal in our story. And this is just a quick thing that I wrote. I said Wednesday night was a Reiki review. This was where my teacher would have us come back and we would just practice things that we had learned on the weekend in our Reiki training. So it was a Reiki review and I went. Since Rob was at work, we didn't have a date night. So already we're starting to lose touch again because he's working and I'm deep into my own life.
We're starting to miss date nights of all things.
Yes.
And they're important.
Well, and the whole reason we set them out is so that we could stay in touch because we knew it was Rob's busy season. And now we're already skipping them because he's got so much going on with work. So I've written now, I just talked with Rob and I feel very sad. Nothing has changed with him at work. He'll be working like crazy until at least January. So great. Here I'm thinking, okay, we're almost done. His drill sergeant intense side is almost over and we're going to be able to get back on track. No.
What it is that the fiscal year end for where I was working ended on October 31st. Happy Halloween. But the busy season as far as parts and winter stuff, people preparing for winter with their vehicles and everything, that really doesn't really end until Christmas time-ish. So I just go from one fire to another, jumping from frying pan to frying pan. So really, did anything change much because the busiest week of my season went by? No. I was still in the middle of the busiest season.
Yeah.
And Angie was getting tired of that routine.
I was. I hardly saw him. When I did, he was stressed. He was tense. He wasn't at all in the same world I was of angels and spirit guides and love and happiness. And so we just weren't connecting. And I thought, okay, great, we're almost through. And then I find out we're not even close.
And speaking of which, you weren't in the world of making sure that you were taking advantage of your career training and getting your feet firmly on the ground.
No.
You were in that other world. And just to even say it right now, wow, it's a big difference in philosophy.
Yeah. No, I was living completely in 5D. Completely. So I wrote here, I've been feeling since last Monday that Rob and I are really growing apart. I went to my Monday night group. This was a spiritual group that I connected with other people, not at all connected to Reiki, but just another spiritual thing. I went to my Monday night group and felt an attraction for a guy who was talking about the things I'm interested in: love, spiritual growth, helping people, etc. I clicked with him and I felt bad because I thought of a relationship with this guy. He's more on the path that I'm on than what Rob is. Right now, Rob is concentrating on being a parts manager and selling and making money and the struggles with people. We're not at all in the same place. And I've been learning all about spiritual things, the prophecies. I was reading the Celestian Prophecy at that point, and deep into all my other books. In fact, just as a little thing, I wanted to share some funny little pictures. This was my life. You can see that is, I don't know how well I can do this. That is my bed, my cat sitting on my bed, and I'm covered. My bed's covered with books. I was reading all of those books at the same time. So deep, deep, deep 5D. I was living it. I was in it. I was not grounded at all. So just back to the prophecies, that's what I was referring to as the Celestian Prophecy book. So I was reading about energy fields and all of that stuff, and I said, Rob and I are not at a get-it level anymore. We are vibrating on different levels completely now. I feel like I'm losing him and we're growing apart at an enormous rate because I'm growing further and deeper spiritually, and he isn't coming with me. He hasn't even been able to hear about my experiences, let alone share them with me. Because now we're missing date nights, so we're not even communicating. If we are spending nights together, we're basically just going to sleep. Because by the time he's home from work, it's nearly bedtime. So we're barely even talking, which again is rare from how we've always been. It's talk, 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 talk. That's what we do.
Come home, crank some weights, have some supper, get some sleep, get up, go to work. Repeat.
Yes. Yes. Now, I just wanted to find if I missed anything, because I think I missed a little piece that's important. Oh, yes. After I wrote, this was just after I wrote all of this, where I'm thinking, oh, there's just no hope for us. I don't see it. So after I wrote, my spirit guides told me to go up and see Rob. I had no intentions of going. So I wasn't even wanting to be around him because our worlds were so different. His conversations were all about work, and rightly so. That was his life at that point. And I was so not into working at that point. I was so into spirits and angels that I didn't even want to have conversations with him. So I had no intentions of going, but they insisted I go, so I went. I gave Rob a hug and sat there with him listening to my guides saying that him and I could make it and for me to give him a chance and be patient. So again, here they are. They keep reiterating. You guys are good together. This is okay. It's where you belong. And I'm doubting. I'm like, no, I don't see it, guys. Like, whatever you're telling me, it's not resonating with me. Then I said, Rob starts talking all about the energy that I had just read about in my book. There is hope, I guess. I want to be on the same spiritual level as Rob, and I want to be an equal with him. I want to feel love for him, and I want us to grow closer on all levels.
Just because I was at work and deeply in 3D didn't mean that I was completely being non-spiritual. It just meant that my growth had stopped. I was focused on doing other things. So I was on a giant pause button. It wasn't like I'd hit the delete button.
Yes. And because, though, I was so deep into 5D, and also, let's be honest, I had never had a real job at that point in my life. The only jobs I'd ever had were babysitting. So I'd never understood what it was like to go to work, the pressures of having work, the intenseness of expectations and all of that. So I couldn't relate to where he was. I couldn't even have compassion for where he was. I just thought, life is easy. You just manifest, you think what you want, you create it, and poof, it shows up in your reality right now. Yes, we're moving closer towards that in our society, but you know what? We still live in a very dense energy, and manifesting doesn't happen overnight. And sadly, some of us still need jobs. We have bills to pay. I didn't get that. So I wasn't relating to him at all at that point. But yet I'm trying to have faith because my angels are telling me this is where you're supposed to be. So I'm like, okay, fine. But I'm not feeling it. Let's be honest. I'm not feeling it. So now we're talking about, we're actually going to have a date night. We're finally committing. Let's go. So I wrote in here, you'll really believe this is 1997 when I talk about what CD this is. I was at the mall and I had just bought the new Wilson Phillips CD. Now, I don't even know, are Wilson Phillips, like, are they sisters or are they just friends that got together as a group?
They are daughters of two of the Beach Boys.
Oh, I have no idea. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So Wilson Phillips, I had just bought their new CD, and then I was going to walk to Rob's work from the mall so we could go for a date night. So I wrote about this. He and I are going to the hot springs tonight. And this is the Banff hot springs that we often went to and still go to. But he won't be off work until 6 p.m., so I'll meet him there. We both need to get out of the city and catch up with each other. The drive will be spent talking, as I need to tell him about Reiki and last weekend. Reiki review, Monday night, my business, my books, etc. All of these things that I was doing and growing and learning, I need to share with him and have him catch up to where I've been.
Do you have a job yet?
Yeah, so he's thinking, I don't really care about all this stuff. You kind of need to find a job. That's what I care about. And I'm like, the angels say money's not a worry. Don't worry, I'll be fine. The angels know what they're talking about. No. So I said, I'm growing and evolving so fast and I need to take Rob with me or we'll lose touch with each other. I'm already feeling it happening. Then I wrote about getting to Rob's work. I said, I met Rob at work and we left for Banff. Most of the drive there was in silence or strained conversation. I wrote, I felt like we were miles away from each other. Rob was talking about work, getting back at people, and he just was in a whole different world, and I just wasn't with him. He was talking from a very secular corporate place, but I was in a very spiritual place. I felt very frustrated and angry because we were in two different worlds. I thought you were going to say something.
No.
Okay. Then I started talking about my book and how much I'm loving it and how it, along with Reiki, is changing my life. I told Rob about the part of the book where I'm at, the sixth prophecy, which says, once we review our life and clear our past, we see that everything changes from the past and leads us to where we are now, and we find our true selves, our higher being or spiritual self. And then we discover what our real purpose is here on earth. Then we begin to take another path in life on a spiritual level. I agree so fully, and this is exactly where I'm at. So I'm reading all these books, I'm learning all this stuff, and I'm thinking all of this happens instantly. And I'm like, Rob, you don't understand. You got to come with me on this stuff. Like, where you're at with work, it's not where you need to be, buddy. Come learn and manifest with me.
Where's the paycheck and all that?
Yeah.
I got it, but it just wasn't real enough for me to throw my whole life into. But yeah, okay, I wasn't being very kind about it either. I was at this point starting to get snarky about it, just kind of like my little comments that I'm throwing in right now. It's like, all great, fine and dandy, but okay, let's use the old Wendy's commercial. Where's the beef? Where's what makes things go around? Come on now. But in the meanwhile, I still had curiosity about it, but I didn't see where it was leading that would cause two people to want to live together and have great careers and then take time away from work and go out and learn stuff and be spiritual and then get back to having great careers. And that's where my mindset was. It was all about making sure that you maintained your corporate professionalism and reputation. Oh, well.
Well, and you also understood life from a completely different perspective because you were 10 years older. You had a lot more grounding than I did.
I'd been almost broke a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'd never quite gone broke, but I didn't want to ever go there again. I knew that to live one kind of life, you had to support it with another. Well, from my perspective anyway.
So neither of us were wrong in our perspective, but both of us were a little imbalanced. He was deep in the 3D and not really looking at the 5D stuff, and I was deep in the 5D and not looking at the 3D.
3D was my life. 5D was a hobby at that point in that season. In summertime, when I can go and climb mountains and spend lots of time with spirit and nature, 5D takes over and work is kind of the pain in the butt, to put it politely. Wintertime, it's all about work. Still
Yeah.
kind of is, but that's today.
Yeah, but you have a huge balance now, which so do I, which neither of us had at that point, which was the problem.
So we went to the hot springs.
Yes, and I wrote, we talked more in the water about how far away we are and how worried I am. A part of me feels like Rob is at a time to move on from me, and I'm pulling away and moving on from him. That Rob's in my path, just crossed for a bit, and that was it. But I don't want that. I do want to feel connected with him on all levels. I want to grow and change and evolve with him and him with me, and I want us to be on a spiritual path together. So I knew what I wanted, but we weren't there. It just wasn't, I didn't see how it was possible. That's what was frustrating me. Now, just a little aside from our story of being in the hot springs, it was really funny. Again, just another example of how far away we were. He's trying to talk about, work, and he's just kind of trying to talk about his day and decompress from the frustration of work and be out in the mountains, which was what you needed, to just be calm out in the mountains. And I can't relate to him. I'm too busy trying to practice my Reiki skills, and I'm looking at the trees and their auras. So as we're sitting in the hot springs, we're still in completely different worlds. We're trying to come back together and connect in each other's worlds, but we're too far away from each other's worlds to even do that. So I was having fun practicing my aura skills and my clairvoyant abilities. And Rob just was not there with me.
Well, I think my thought was that we were going to go to the hot springs, and I was going to disconnect from work, and she was going to disconnect from all of our new teachings, and we were just going to be ourselves together.
Yeah.
I think both of us failed on some level.
Yeah, we couldn't disconnect from our worlds. They were too ingrained in where we were at. So I was just saying it's not enough for Rob to watch me grow. I need for him to grow with me. This is a tough one. We're in separate worlds, but neither of us wants to or can go to the other worlds. I'm not sure what's happening, but things were different on the drive home. We were much closer and even loving, which I like how I wrote, even loving, like it was a shock, because it was.
I think we both finally, after a few hours, relaxed a little bit.
Yeah. And we're finally able to somewhat come back to a middle ground between us. So I was saying, I sent love Reiki energy to us through my hands. This was all new to me. I was just practicing what I had learned in Reiki. Not really expecting anything of it, but I thought, well, give it a shot. What the heck? So I said it was neat. 5 minutes into it, Rob looked over me and said, I love you, Angie. And I wrote, wow, it worked. So I was amazed. I'm thinking, okay, so all this spiritual stuff, all this Reiki stuff, all this manifesting stuff is real. I don't need to worry about getting a job. I can just manifest money. I can just manifest a Reiki business. It'll all just flow, no problem. This is all good.
And of course, what I had felt was probably just a little bit of energy wafting over me and a little bit more peacefulness. Okay, yeah, it's nice to feel a little bit of love. So I had expressed that.
And it's not to say the Reiki didn't work. Of course it did.
I think it worked.
But where I was in this perspective that everything was magical and everything was just going to work out for me perfectly and easily and smoothly. And all I had to do was think it. All I had to do was send my energy out and poof, it was going to happen overnight. We still live in a very dense world of Earth. So energy manifesting doesn't happen overnight all the time. But I was thinking this was the way it worked. Now, it's also interesting, I didn't write this part in my journal, but we also had a really interestingly neat experience that night. We're still listening to the new Wilson Phillips CD that I bought. This is why we mentioned it.
We had been in silence all the way out there, and we had not listened to the CD either, but on the way home, we had it going in the background. And the biggest tune that came off of that CD was a song called Release Me. And it was, Angie was actually looking over at me thinking, and I don't know whether you verbalized this or not, maybe you do remember, but it was almost like a thought that maybe I was thinking that Angie wanted me to release her, simply because she was going in one direction, I was going in another, and maybe this, when you look at a reason or a season or a lifetime that people are together, maybe this had just been one real short reason, and really we weren't that compatible.
Yeah.
That was, listening to that song really, really hit me hard, because that was the first time that I seriously thought that maybe it was time to release this and let it go. It's one of those songs that just almost felt like a message.
Yes. In fact, even though it's not written in my journal, I remember that so clearly. When the song came on, when we were listening to it, he said, I feel like this is what you're asking me to do. And I know I didn't respond because I didn't know how to say yes, but no. What I wanted was for the old Rob to come back, the one that I met in the summer, who was loving and fun and playful and not serious and drill sergeant-y and not so deep into 3D. Fact was, the Rob that I met was only a part of the real Rob. And I didn't know that at the time, but yes, I did want him to release me. If this new Rob was the real Rob, I wasn't interested. If the old Rob that I met and we had this magical spiritual connection with was the one, then yeah, keep me. So I was in this place of back and forth and back and forth. But now, instead of the roller coaster of back and forth, I was more in the, no matter how much my angels and spirit guides are saying this is going to work, I'm not seeing it. I'm not feeling it. So I didn't say, yes, that's what I'm thinking is I want you to release me. But inside I'm going, well, either come back the way you were or, yeah, let me go. But I didn't have the guts to say it. Yeah, so that was tricky. That was really hard. We were really starting to be distant, and it just, our love was growing further and further and further away, and we were having a hard time keeping it together. It was getting really challenging. And were you feeling like, did you want to release me when you heard that song?
No, I didn't. Not at that point.
Not at that point, but you thought about it. Okay.
No, I don't know. I don't even know if I thought about it.
Oh, okay. So it was just me that was thinking it still.
Like fleeting thoughts don't pull together an action plan, and I didn't have an action plan that included releasing us. Mm-hmm. Just to put it from that point of view.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, okay, it was just me at that point that was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm just seeing, I thought I had something else to write, but I guess not. Oh, I do. See, there was something else. I wanted to read this last piece. I wrote, Rob and I need to sit down and share where we're each at. He's been busy with work for the past couple of weeks, and I've been busy with my business and Reiki. Actually, I think I did read that. Maybe I didn't. No, I didn't. So we've been out of touch with each other, and I feel so distant from him. We realized it yesterday when he was once again discussing the sexual abuse, and I was getting so angry that he kept bringing it up because I have done all the work I need to do, and now it's time to just let go and take care of itself. He didn't know I'd changed, though, as I was dealing with it, because we haven't talked about it the last few weeks since I've started Reiki. I had advanced without him knowing, and he was left in the dark. So I had to communicate with him and tell him what I've learned about the law of attraction, that the more you concentrate on something, the more you draw it to you. So the more we talk about the sexual abuse and the problems with it, the more it's going to occur. He got it. So again, this man's amazing. I mean, I'm only seeing the negative sides of him, and I'm feeling like he's not getting it, and we're not at a get it level. But really, anytime it really came to crunch time, he was there with me. I just wasn't feeling it. But he did get it. He understood what I was explaining. So I said he got it, and we're now going to leave it alone. So much has happened for me in the past few weeks, and I need to communicate it all with Rob. We've been so busy with our lives and our own worlds that we've been out of touch with each other, especially since we didn't have a date night last week. We just come home late and crash because we're so tired. We get up early, he leaves for work, and it continues. And so many people wonder why divorce is so easy. So I was already recognizing, like, it's so easy to pull apart from each other if you don't really make the effort. One of the things Rob communicated yesterday is that he loves me more than he thought he did. He's been very hurt by my distance with us, but he said that even though his head wanted to put distance between us to keep him safe, his heart and soul can't. This is why I knew there was a piece I hadn't read, because I was pulling away from you, but you weren't from me. He was still like, no, I'm in this. I can feel you pulling away, and this song, Release Me, you're trying to tell me that you want to be let go, but I don't want to let you go. So it was interesting, even in that we were in different worlds. I was back and forth, and do I want this? Do I not? Is this really going to work? But he's telling me, no, his heart and soul can't put distance. So he said, I stay close anyway. Even though both of us were very far away from each other emotionally and physically this past while, love won and broke through. Awesome. So love won, yes, but more for him than for me. I was still not really into this anymore. I couldn't see how we were going to move forward. I was missing the connection we had and just thought, I don't see how we're gonna reconnect. So that's about where we leave off for this one. And the next video, it gets even rougher.
The next video has one of our most important bits in it, but that's for next time.
Yes, we'll leave it there. So for now, we're going to say goodbye before we get too windy. Hopefully it hasn't disrupted our video. I guess we're going to find out when we watch it. And if you see this, you know it worked. And if you don't, it means we had to redo it.
All right.
So as always, to connect with your twin, remember to go within. And we will catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.